Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, taking a look at another intriguing Week 3 matchup as Syracuse heads on the road to play Purdue in what is a rematch of a game last year that if you're a sicko or watching that one, absolutely insane game. Very excited to get into the rematch. Now, before we do again, just want to say thank you to you guys. The support you guys have shown for all these game breakdowns truly does mean a lot. I have a blast taking deep dives into these teams, giving you guys some of my takes. But the best part about it is talking ball with you guys in the comment section, learning from you guys. So if you do enjoy the content, one, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, again, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. And without further ado, let's get into this game. Syracuse sitting at a 2.5-point favorite on the road here. And my overarching take before we kind of dig into the individual units is Syracuse, as a Western New York guy, I kind of keep tabs on Syracuse, watch a lot of their games. You don't really necessarily know what they are after rolling over Colgate and Western Michigan. On the other side, you've seen Purdue play two really, really quality opponents. They lost at home to Fresno State, kind of corrected a lot of those problems, and then went on the road and beat a Virginia Tech team that I think is pretty solid. And for Purdue, I'll start there on the defensive side of the ball, going up against the Syracuse offense. You see a lot of first-year head coaches with the defensive background struggle year one. I think having the personnel on the defensive side of the ball is extremely important. And you saw some growing pains week one against Fresno State, a game that, as a Purdue better in that game, extremely frustrating, just could not get off the field on third downs, really couldn't stop Fresno State's passing attack. That being said, what you're optimistic about is they kind of flipped the script and went down on the road at Virginia Tech again. I'm not saying Virginia Tech's going to win the ACC, but I think they're a quality team and beat a Virginia Tech team after getting up on them, having a weather delay. Virginia Tech battles back, and then Purdue ends up winning a close game. The confidence for this program, I think that was a massive, massive win. Now you get another really good opponent at home. Taking a look at what Purdue's done on the defensive side of the ball, that front seven, really, really good. Guys like O.C. Brothers, Kydra Jenkins, Nick Scroton, like a lot of tackles for a loss. They're only allowing opposing teams to average 2.2 yards per carry. Now, the concern you have is the secondary, right? Fresno State threw the rock all over Purdue, couldn't really get off the field. Teams are averaging 323 yards per game passing. Virginia Tech was able to find some stuff down the field as well. My question is, can the Syracuse offense attack Purdue's secondary? Because, again, this is a team that it's going to be hard to run the football. I think Ryan Walters has done a really nice job with this front seven. It's a group that has a good pass rush. It has a really good run defense. Can Syracuse attack where Purdue's a little bit weaker, which I think is in the secondary? Taking a look at Syracuse's offense, Garrett Schrader played a lot of football. I mean, he's a very quality college quarterback. Now, my question is, can he push the ball down the field? Not something he's historically been asked to do a ton at Syracuse because they've had Sean Tucker and been able to just run the football on a lot of teams. I think Garrett Schrader with, again, LaQuint Allen is solid, but I don't think that offense can go through LaQuint Allen like it went through Sean Tucker the last couple of years. I think there's going to be a little bit more responsibility for Garrett Schrader to push the ball down the field, especially going up against the Purdue defense that if you want to attack where they're maybe not as strong, their secondary, Garrett Schrader has to be able to push the ball down the field. Now, they've done some good job hitting some explosive plays. Again, it's just been against Colgate and Western Michigan, two teams that aren't that great. My biggest concern is, not concern, but I guess request for this Syracuse offense. I think you have one of the best pass catchers in the country in Oronde Gaston. He has 67 yards through 2 games. And again, I'm happy that there are some other guys that are stepping up and contributing. Oronde Gaston needs to be worked into this offense a little bit more, especially when you start going up against some bigger competition like a Purdue on the road. I would like to see Oronde Gaston be a little bit more of an impact player for Syracuse. I think they can run the football at a solid level, especially with Garrett Schrader. Like, he provides another element on offense. But again, if this Syracuse team is going to kind of reach its potential, you got to see Garrett Schrader take that step as a pocket passer. And Oronde Gaston's a guy that you got to be able to use. Now, flipping the script, the Syracuse defense through 2 games, obviously losing a defensive coordinator that, if you've been listening to me, like how big of a fan I am of Tony White, that hurts. But this Syracuse defense really not skipping a beat. Excuse me. I think you added some nice pieces in the transfer portal. I think Marlo Wax is one of the better linebackers in the country going up against the Purdue offense that Hudson Card's been solid. he hasn't been great. And I think there's a product of two things. One, kind of working into that new system with Graham Harrell. And two, the wide receivers, I think, are solid. They've been able to hit some explosive plays. I think they're still kind of building some of that chemistry. I mean, Hudson Card, 62% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's doing what he needs to do. My biggest concern with Purdue is the lack of ability to run the football, which you saw get a little bit better against Virginia Tech, right? I was really concerned after that Fresno State game where that's a Purdue team that I think traditionally should be able to move some bodies at the point of attack against the group of 5 team in Fresno State. They weren't really able to do that. My concern is not with Devin Mockbee. I think he's one of the better running backs in the Big Ten. My concern was with that offensive line. A lot of guys have gone down with injury in that group. Can they get back to running the football? Because when I look at this Purdue team, with Graham Harrell at the helm, this is a team that I think needs to be two-dimensional. I mean, you got to be able to run the football. And if you give Hudson Card a strong running game where people need to respect that, put a safety in the box, that's when I think Hudson Card can be at his best working downfield. And again, this is a Syracuse team that 2.4 yards per carry to opposing offenses so far, only 136 yards per game through the air. My biggest takeaway is, and kind of getting to the pick, I guess you'll say, is you don't really know what the Syracuse team is yet. I think it can be a very quality team. I think it can be a 6+ win team. That being said, you haven't seen them play an opponent that I think is at their talent level. They're going to get that chance against Purdue. And for Purdue, you've already been in 2 really, really tight games. You've been tested twice, one at home, one on the road. My lean is Purdue at home just because they've been tested. They've been in those close games, which I just tend to trust a little bit more than a team that's going into week 3 that really hasn't been in a close game, hasn't really seen what their team is about yet. That being said, not really going to be touching this game because Syracuse, I think, is a really quality team with a really good defense. And then Purdue, again, I think they have a solid defense. If they can shore up some of that stuff in the secondary, this is a game for me that spread's probably right. I bet it's going to be a 1-score game. I bet it's going to be a little bit lower scoring. So if I had a play, it'd probably be on the under. That being said, this is a game that 2 veteran quarterbacks that have played a lot, 2 really quality defenses. And again, Syracuse, my eyes will be on them in terms of, like, all right, who are their playmakers? Does Gaston get more involved in that offense? Really excited for this matchup. Again, would love to hear your guys' takes in the comment section. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas like you always do. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.